to me nice. Talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes. Don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, feels so nice. We time. You, I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way. On my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. Good girl. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind.
Hey everyone, how you doing? How you doing? How are you doing? Today is What the Flux Friday. So, full disclosure, that I picked up actually from the subject of an email that just showed up in my mailbox, and the show kind of has that flavor. And I was just looking for a catchy title for it. And What the Flux, and sorry, I added the Friday. So What the Flux today is What the Flux Friday. Boy, I say that fast several times. Okay, housekeeping. I can see how many people are watching, but I can't see who you are. So if you wanted to hop on into the comments and say hi, that would be wonderful. Share, share, share. We're all in this together as we enter into the building phase. Not rebuilding, but building. Two very different things. You know, it's interesting. We often use rebuilding as something has been destroyed, right, or gone or whatever. Interesting. So then we talk about rebuilding, which, so when you think about it, rebuilding, it's kind of has like connotations of getting things back to the way they were. We were never designed to move any other direction other than forward, which fits in with the theme of today's show, actually, is, hold on, I'm just going to adjust this, which is going to get noisy, which fits in with the theme of today's show is that not moving backwards, only moving forward. We really only have one direction, not the band. Okay, we only have one direction, that is moving forward. 777 Club, you guys know how to see it. Go to my profile, go to the website. It's worth taking a look at. It's built upon the 5 steps of manifesting, which is step 1 is creating your perfect desire. Remember, that desire is what you want, not what you've been told you can have. A very big difference. Then step 2, of course, is living your desire on the inside, feeling the feeling. And as you do that, step 3 will come find you. You won't have to go looking for it. Step 3 is managing resistances, where a big piece of our work is done. The next step is inspired actions. I talked a little bit about that actually in the 777 Club Facebook group yesterday. Hey, how you doing? I'm oh, hold on, I gotta make this wider. I made the window so small, your comment is like in 3 letters. Hey, there we are. So I'm trying to read it all. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Lynette, good, great to see you. This fits because you're crazy. Like, well, most folks that associate with me we're all bad shit crazy sometimes. But hey, it fits in with the show. Okay. So anyhow, 777 Club. I was something I've been doing. And I got this message. It keeps popping up, so I can't see. So I've been trying something a little bit different. You may have seen it. Again, it shows up in my profile. What am I calling it? Ask the Wizard. Almost daily, I think I call it meditation radio. It's kind of fun. So I've got a mixer here for audio. I broadcast it on Facebook. I'm actually doing it now, but I need to work out a few details. Broadcasting it audio only. So then you can, because of course on Facebook, as soon as you turn your display off, then the thing stops streaming. So if it's the audio only format, then if you wish, you can just play it like a podcast, pretty much. I'll probably be doing them more in the evening, but I was playing around with it this morning. So if you want to check it out, go to the profile and scroll down. It's really cool. It's like a radio station. So I have a series of tracks that I can pull up. It's got a video background and things like that, which is really kind of cool. And then I just pull in different things. So I pulled in this morning, I pulled in the guided meditation for Reiki self-treatment just for fun. I've got a camera so you can see me. You can shout out and say hi, anything like that. And then I pulled in a show. I thought this was kind of interesting. I pulled in a show that I did October of 2010 from Orlando, Florida. And I had just finished a level 1 and 2 Reiki, my first level 1 and 2 Reiki workshop in Orlando. And that teaching trip was actually a 2-week trip. So I taught level 1 and 2 in Anaheim one weekend. Then I flew to Orlando and taught a level 1 and 2 the following weekend. Now, what's kind of neat about that is, and that was 10 years ago. And on the show, it said I was 49. So there you go. So that had marked the longest, because I was gone probably 14 days. That marked the longest I'd been away from Red Deer in my life. I mean, a lot of you folks, hell, 49 and 50 is a long way away yet. So that marked the longest I'd been away from Red Deer in my life. And now when I think about it, another interesting thing about that experience was people like me don't do that. So people like me, when I was growing up, and it wasn't good or bad, it just is, right? Think of a belief system, was we don't, oh, hey, Mike, I got this window that keeps popping up. Hey, Mike Gorgachuk, how you doing, buddy? I often think of Mike. So Mike and I used to work together years ago. And when I first started down this, I appreciate Mike for a whole bunch of reasons. When I first started down this path, way back when, you've heard me say this, you've experienced this. One of the best indicators that you're moving forward is resistance that wants to push you back. And I just started, so I didn't have a lot of momentum. I was kind of a fledgling in the whole thing. And I hit my first little bump. And I can still remember, Mike, as clear as day, in my office, and you were on my whiteboard with a marker, and you were drawing this line, and then this little bit of a bump, and then the line, and you were explaining how it's just a bump, and you just need to get over that bump, because that's, and you've heard me talk about this too. There's 2 times in our spiritual journey that we have the greatest chances of quitting. And one of them is right at the beginning, because we don't have a lot of momentum. We don't have a lot of experience. We're, like I said, we're kind of like a babe in the woods, if you will. And you feel that, and it was like, geez, I don't know, maybe I should go back. And I remember you, Mike, writing and drawing on that board. And I tell you, that made all the difference in the world. So it's your fault I'm here. Happily. So anyway, getting back to the topic for the show. So people like me just didn't do that. And yet here I was. And the thing of it is, I wasn't there on a holiday. I was there teaching a Reiki workshop. So what took me to Anaheim was a level 1 and 2 workshop. What took me to Orlando was a level 1 and 2 workshop. So I was working, if you will. And I mean, first of all, people like me don't go on holidays like that. And much bigger than that is people like me definitely do not do that as a job. I can remember that really clearly, that first trip. It's like a gated community, I guess you would call it, with the kidney shaped pools. There was a couple of them, a big ass hot tub. condos. So I had a condo. That time they were offering free breakfast and the whole thing. And it was like, it was, it was really quite the experience because I'd never had an experience like that before. Right. And remember, I was working when I was down there. So I did this radio show the Sunday night after the second level 1 and 2 workshop. And I talked about the power of decision. I don't think it's a coincidence that I just happened to pick that show to broadcast earlier. The power of decision. And I was talking about how I simply decided. I just simply decided that if, hold on, I'm just going to reply to this really quickly. By the way, you can always message me, comment here, message here, or whatever. If you have any comments, topics, anything like that. I decided that if the whole law of attraction, if all this stuff really worked, I was throwing all my eggs in that basket. And I can remember that decision. It would have been the summer of 09, really. Yeah, the summer of 09. And it was, okay, if this stuff really works, then I'm throwing everything in. I'm all in. And then whenever 14 months after that, here I am sitting in Orlando, and I talk about it on the show. I can remember it so clearly, like the smells, the sound of the acorns, because the acorns would fall from the trees. You'd hear them landing on the deck, the turtle and the peacocks. There was peacocks there and all sorts of cool stuff, which again, this was such a new experience for me. But the interesting thing about it was it didn't feel really bizarre or surreal. Why? Because when you do the manifesting work and you see the results from it, and I used the word in the show, I said, I'm very pleased, right? So in a way, not even surprised, but pleased. Why? Because that's the process. See, that's the manifesting process. And who did I hear? Oh, wait, no. Greg Braden. I heard him talk about how he was referring to, I don't know, there's a video that probably many of you have seen. We used to show it quite often, the cancerous tumor disappearing in a few minutes. In this lady. And the statement he made was, I'm going to probably paraphrase this a bit. It's only magic until you understand the mechanics of it. Then it becomes a technology. And I think that's why we focus so much on, interesting, throat chakra. We focus so much on information, but understanding of the information, which is a big piece of what the 777 Club is about. Understanding of their information and then applying it. Because that's how you get from what the flux, make sure you pronounce that right, what the flux, to, well, yeah, I would expect this. And it doesn't downplay the amazingness of it. But it was like, okay, that would make sense. I'll give you another little tidbit. So again, this was 2010. So what we did when we were deciding where we're going to go and then the tuition was we thought, okay, we're going to choose a tuition. So, if this isn't what the flux, I don't know what is. I'm going to screw that up. Just watch. We decided, well, we're going to, so 2010, so 10 years ago, we're going to choose a tuition that if one person registers, it will cover the lion's share of the big cost, which was to get me down there and then, of course, a hotel, right? So flights and a hotel. So our tuition was $777 for a level 1 and 2 workshop. Many of you have attended them here, right? They weren't that. So in the beginning, so what the flux, right? So $777. But I made that decision. And we decided, and then when two people make the decision, now you've got some kick-ass power. So Mary Jo and I decided this is what we were going to do. Done. Right? That power of that decision. In one of the meditation gatherings years ago, there would often be a little teaching topic. And the topic was, in this case, was sometimes the best thing you can do after you cross a bridge is turn around and set it on fire. And in a way, that's exactly what I did. was like, this is either going to work or, well, there isn't anything after the or. Now, that's just me, right? Well, son of a gun if people didn't register. Now, isn't that interesting? Which took me down to Anaheim, where I was able for the first time in my life to feel the Pacific Ocean on my feet. And a week later, in Orlando, Florida, to feel the Atlantic Ocean on my feet. One of our students actually drove me out to the ocean so I could get a picture of the Atlantic Ocean touching my feet for the first time in my life at 49. So my first time being away from Red Deer for the longest time in my life was 14 days spending time basically the furthest south and west you can get in the continental U.S., and then the following week, the furthest south and east you can get. So think about it. It was this big-ass triangle. Not as a vacation, but teaching workshops. Now, if that isn't what the Flux, I don't know what is. But we decided. And we decided once, nope. Twice, nope. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no. Probably 1,000 times. You see, because initially when you look at something like that, that is impossible. Think about it. You're charging just about $800. That was American. $800 for a workshop. And who the hell are you anyway? You don't think there aren't Reiki teachers in Anaheim and Orlando? And you're going to build these web pages, which tell you back then they didn't look that good. Yeah. And like, what the Flux? And initially, I've been talking about this quite a bit this last while. We've been so conditioned to desire. You have been conditioned, just like me, to desire what you've been told you can have, not what you want. Now, that's really valuable. We have been conditioned by people, places, things, and events to want or to desire what we've been told we can have, not to want what we want. And I tell you, it is insidious is probably the best word I can think of right now. Why? Because after a while, we're not even aware of what we really want anymore, because we've been so conditioned to settle. You know, that's one of my least favorite words, to settle. Yes, for mediocrity. Right? How many times have you heard this? Maybe from the voices in your head, and I can bet money from voices outside your head. You have this dream, you have this desire, you tell somebody about it, and they go, what the Flux? Right? They go, well, who are you? You can't do this. You just, all these reasons why you can't do it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times, if you look at the external, they're 100% right. This is really powerful. Your dreams, your desires, they can just about bet money that if you look for validation externally, you're not going to get it. And you can bet money that it's going to undoubtedly be, look at interesting, throat chakra, be the opposite. That when you start to embrace that desire, this feels good, you can just about count on a whole crap load of evidence out here. My camera view isn't big enough. A whole crap load of evidence out here. There we go. That is going to tell you, and sometimes just people, or your bank account, or what society says you should or shouldn't do, or what this is good or bad, or all that kind of stuff, right, wrong, all that, is going to tell you you're absolutely crazy or it's impossible. So here's a little clue. If you know, when you have that dream, when you have that desire, And as you contemplate it, here's what happens. It'll usually feel good for a little bit. And there's like this whiplash comes in. Reality sets in. And you decide, or somebody else tells you, that it's impossible. And here's the son of a gun. It is. In this moment, if you look at the physical, external circumstances, wow, this is powerful because look, feel the throat. But you have the power to choose differently. And that's the whole theme of this show, is your dreams. Not just, I would really like a Starbucks today, but the ones that are so deep inside your heart, sometimes you're even afraid to admit them to yourself. Why? Because you know they're impossible. So you condition yourself to accept less. And your external circumstances validate that wonderfully. But I tell you this. When I decided, I didn't even know Anaheim or Orlando. I had no idea where those, I mean, they were south somewhere. And, you know, I'm pretty sure Anaheim is in California somewhere, right? We Google mapped it. We went on Google Maps. Here's California. Oh, there's one, and there's one, and there's one. What the heck? Let's choose those. Now think about it. Sitting in Red Deer, Alberta, in front of a computer, Google mapping stuff, building web pages for these locations, and going, sure, let's do that. Let's teach Reiki workshops. Keeping the same small class sizes and with no advertising budget. Let's do that. And we decided, and then if you look at the external, that was just what the flux, right? But we decided that we're going to do it. See? We decided that it was possible. Did we have a clue how it was going to work out? Not a chance. Don't look for your external circumstances, and especially people, to validate or even support it. Matter of fact, they're probably going to come up with all these reasons why it's impossible. And again, if you look at the external circumstances, they're 100% correct. You don't realize the power, the creative power of your persistent choosing that it is possible. It doesn't matter if you have a clue how it's going to work out, how you're going to do it. Matter of fact, even if it's going to work out, just in this moment, choose that it is possible. A little bit of a tangent, but I need a tangent button. A little bit of a tangent, but I live on tangents. November of 2006, I stood on a mountaintop in Banff. Hadn't taught any workshops outside of Red Deer. I stood on a mountaintop in Banff, Tunnel Mountain, actually. Cold ass day. Had my sage. It's over there. I'd grab it. Had my sage, and I'm up there, and I'm waving the sage, the 4 directions, and I'm claiming Banff to teach a workshop. Now, there was no chance that could happen. No chance at all. But you know what? I stood in that mountaintop, and I'm claiming Banff. I'm teaching in Banff. I'm claiming Banff. Had no clue how it was going to work. None of that stuff. But damn it, I decided I was going to do it. A year later, we did it. So I think I'll be wrapping up here pretty quick. The dreams, the desires, the ones that cause your heart to sing and then often have the whiplash as soon as you do. What's happening? The truth is what causes your heart to sing. The lie is the evidence that it can't keep singing. You were designed for your heart to sing. And you were designed to sing different songs, but to not stop singing. You are designed to expand and grow and evolve. You are designed to take the impossible and choose it to be possible. And when and as you do that over and over and over and over, how many times do I do it, Russ? That's a question you just don't ask. Over and over and over. Somebody outside says, I don't see any evidence of it yet. And maybe you say the same thing. And this is the reason why 1,000 people start to step towards their dreams and 999 of them stop. Because they listen to the flux. They've decided that it is impossible, and then they're right. You get to decide that it is possible, and you're right too. The power of persistent, determined, relentless choosing. To have the audacity to decide over and over and over that your dreams and your desires are worth it. That your dreams and your desires want to see fruition in your external experience. You have the power. I have the power. We're in a whole new phase right now. Now's the time to start deciding that yes, this is possible. Against all evidence, it doesn't matter. It is possible, it is possible, it is, but you start talking, maybe not to anybody else, maybe just to you, that it is possible. And what will happen is it changes from impossible to possible. That's your job. And as you do that, you're harnessing that creative force that creates worlds. And that force is what makes it inevitable. Your job is to not make it happen. Your job is to choose that it can. Your job is to choose that it will. And that creative flow will take your choice and manifest it in an inevitability, which is what took me to that first workshop in Banff, which is what took me to Anaheim and Orlando, which is what took us to Paris, which is what took us to Mexico. Because we're doing the same thing, because we decided over and over and over and over again that the impossible is possible. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This was really, really good. Share. We're all in this together. 777 Club, the Ask the Wizard Almost Daily Meditation Radio. Go to the profile. You can scroll down and check that out. That's kind of cool too. All right. See you on the web.